Hey guys, today I will be taking a look at the new updated OurProgress forecast for the 2020 presidential election between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. And of course, I will be taking a look at their actual website and looking at the other data that they have released in just a couple of moments here. But first, I want to take a look at their map plotted out on this map right here. I think this map is a lot easier to read. Currently, Joe Biden has 291 electoral votes to President Trump with 125. They only use solid, likely, and lean classifications for either candidate. So as you can see, the West Coast, New Mexico, Hawaii, most of the Northeast, as well as Virginia and Illinois are the solid Democratic states. The likely states are the states of Nevada, Colorado, the blue wall here, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Three of these states Trump carried in 2016 are now in the likely column for Joe Biden, as well as the state of New Hampshire and the 2nd District of Maine and Nebraska, two other flips for Joe Biden. And the only lean state for Joe Biden on this map is the state of Arizona, 11 electoral votes, currently a lean state for the former vice president. Now, for the President Donald Trump, 125 electoral votes. Most of his solid states are all solid, and there are quite a few likely states. These are categorizations that I definitely agree with. States like Montana, Missouri, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Alaska being the likely Trump states, and the president currently has no lean states on this map. However, there are 122 electoral votes worth of toss-up states. These are the states of Iowa, Texas, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, making up a total of 122 electoral votes. Donald Trump can win all of these states and lose the election, because Biden is already at 291 electoral votes, as he has won the three Rust Belt states that Clinton lost in 2016, the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and he has already been put over 270 electoral votes, and along with the state of Virginia, this puts him up all the way at 291, and so currently Biden is leading in North Carolina and Florida right now, so he would win these two states as well, putting him up at 335 electoral votes if we were to go purely by polling numbers. But I think North Carolina and Florida could definitely go either way, but these states are not as important to Joe Biden as he is already over 291 electoral votes. For President Trump to win, he would have to win every single toss-up. If he does not win every single one of these states, I think there's absolutely no way President Trump is going to win the election. And in addition to that, he's going to have to win 22 electoral votes from some of Biden's states. So he's going to have to win at least two of them. He's going to have to win either Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, two of these states, because these states, in my opinion, are currently the closest. If he wins Pennsylvania, he's still going to lose by 4 electoral votes, so he's going to have to win some other state back, unless he can hold on to the 2nd District of Maine, and he wins some other state as well. So this map is very unfavorable to the president. I will agree to that. I think that this is a little bit skewed to the left, just a little bit, but I do think that this does spell out the picture that most forecasts are putting out, and is that Donald Trump really, his pathways to victory are very narrow right now. He will have to win so many more states, and that he is really struggling in right now. He is struggling in basically the states that he won in 2016, and Biden isn't as charismatic of a candidate or anything like Barack Obama was, but it's just the hate against Trump and just the amount of people that have had enough of his presidency that is really giving a lot of enthusiasm for Joe Biden's campaign. So now, after looking at this map, I'm going to take a look at the actual OurProgress forecast. They currently give Joe Biden an 85.9% chance of winning the presidency, and President Trump's is a 14.1%. Now, this is actually not too bad. This is basically the average from all of the forecasts. If you take a look at the 538 forecast, the JHK forecast, or the Economist forecast, these numbers here, these percentages for both a Biden and Trump victory, are both very similar to those other forecasts. Currently, Joe Biden is very likely to win the Electoral College. As you can see on this map, they plot out the chances that they give to each candidate of winning in black, and then the margins that they expect each candidate to have. So the state of Minnesota, 87.6% of going to Biden, win by 7.5%. Wisconsin, 78% for Biden, winning by 5.6%. Michigan, winning by 7.9%. 90% chance of going to Biden, and then the state of Pennsylvania winning by 5.2%, 76% chance of going to the vice president. In the state of New Hampshire, Biden plus 7.1. The state of Maine, and Joe Biden plus 1.4 in the 2nd District. He currently has a 54% chance of carrying the 2nd District of Maine, and the 2nd District of Nebraska 56%, Biden plus 1.8. I do think that these numbers here in the 2nd District of Nebraska are a little bit closer than what they're actually going to be. The state of Arizona, this is the only lean state on this entire map, Biden plus 2.9. Joe Biden has a 64.4% chance of carrying this state. I do think that this forecast has underestimated Joe Biden in the 2nd District of Nebraska and Arizona, and did overestimate him in some of these Rust Belt states, just because I think that Trump is still going to outperform the polls here, and I think that these states are still going to be pretty close, but definitely not as close as they were in 2016. Now, taking a look at these toss-up states, currently Iowa, 50.8% are going to Trump. I think he definitely has a higher chance of carrying this state. Trump is currently expected to win by just 0.2% in a state he won by over 9% in 2016. But if we were to take a look at the polling data 4 years ago, Trump was leading only here. He was only leading here by 3%, and he carried the state by over 9% on election night. Basically same thing with Ohio. He was only leading by around 2 to 3%. He won it by 8%. Trump is currently only expected to win this state by 0.1%. So I do think that this data is a little bit off. I think that Trump is not doing that badly here. State of Texas, Trump plus 1. I do think that Texas is going to be closer than both Iowa and Ohio, but the state of Texas currently 53% chance of going to the president. Biden having a 46% chance of winning Texas, I think is honestly a very good side, because no Democrat's going to win Texas in my opinion, and no Democrat has ever won the state of Texas in over 4 decades. North Carolina, currently Biden plus 0.9. I think North Carolina is probably going to be the closest state in the entire election, just because polls here have been showing a very close race this entire election cycle. Currently, Joe Biden has a 54.4% chance of carrying the state of North Carolina. The state of Georgia, Joe Biden 52.1% of carrying the state, winning by 0.4%. I think this is wrong. I don't think Joe Biden's going to carry Georgia. I think Georgia's still going to be very close, but a lot of the voter suppression that happens here in the South, I think that Biden's really not going to be able to get the numbers that he needs. But if enough African Americans here and just Democrats in general see that Biden has a real shot at winning this state, I do think that Biden does still have a little bit of a chance if he were to really spend a lot of time and money on this state. But if Trump loses Georgia, he's lost the election. He cannot win the other states. If he loses Georgia, he's not going to win Wisconsin, nor Michigan, nor Pennsylvania. He's not going to win North Carolina, nor is he going to win Florida, or even Iowa, Texas, and Ohio. So Georgia, I think, is going to have to go to Trump if Trump wants a chance at winning this thing. But right now, I do think Trump is going to carry the state of Georgia. I don't think he's doing that badly right now. His numbers have definitely improved from his midsummer dip in the polls. The state of Florida, currently Joe Biden has a 57.8% chance of winning, currently 1.6% margin of victory for the former vice president. I do think this is accurate. Florida is always very close. Biden was leading by almost 8% in the summer at his peak. Now he's only leading by around 2 to 3% on average. So he's still definitely in the lead here in a state that has over 20 or that has 29 electoral votes, but it's definitely not as good as it was before because Joe Biden is not garnering the amount of Latino support and just Cuban voters. There's a large Cuban population in the state of Florida, and they are currently not expected to come out for Joe Biden. Even Hillary Clinton had better numbers with Latino voters than Joe Biden does now. So, choosing an African American Kamala Harris as his vice president, I think, did alienate a lot of Latino voters who are really hoping to have the first Latino vice president of the United States. But Biden, I think, can make up this gap. He does not need to win too many more voters, but I think that is something that he definitely has to work on if he wants to have a better chance of carrying the state of Florida. So this is the electoral map here, and taking a look at the estimated popular vote margins. Currently, Joe Biden is expected to win 72 million votes, almost 73 million, to Donald Trump with 62 million. This would be the largest amount of votes that any candidate has ever been able to get in any presidential election in American history, beating Barack Obama's record right now. Hillary Clinton had the second most ever in 2016, but of course this is just because, there's more people voting every single year. Turnout is definitely expected to exceed 2016 by 10 million votes. As you can see, Trump won around 62 million in 2016 as well. Clinton won around 65 million. So Biden's going to outperform Clinton's numbers by over 7 million votes, winning 51.9% of the popular vote to President Trump with 44.7. In 2016, it was more around 46 for Trump and 48 for Clinton. So Clinton was not able to win a majority of the votes in 2016. She only won 48%. However, Joe Biden is currently expected to win those votes. And the this green is just the independent voters. So 4,700,000 votes to an independent or independent voters combined. That is 3.4% of the popular vote. Joe Biden would win the popular vote by a margin of 7.2% over President Trump. Now, the electoral votes here with the toss-up states, so basically with the states of Iowa, Ohio, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida not included on the map. As you can see, our map right here, Joe Biden would win 291 or 289 electoral votes, and Donald Trump would win 125. This is without the 2nd District of Maine nor Nebraska. However, with the toss-up votes in, Joe Biden would win 351 electoral votes to President Trump with 187. So the map would look something like this if we were to really put it on this map right here. If we were to fill in all of these states, Joe Biden would win the southeastern states in the Atlantic. So as you can see, 351 for Joe Biden, 187 for the president, according to their no toss-ups map. This is a pretty favorable map, and I don't think it's too likely going to happen. It is less skewed towards the left than the RCP map, but the RCP map really isn't updated that much, as RCP still has Ohio in the Biden column. And then looking at how this race has changed over time. According to this forecast, Joe Biden is in his peak period right now. Not even in the summer, not when he was leading by over 7-8%, over 10% even at one point in the summer, in mid-June and July. He only had around an 80% chance of winning. Now he has an 85% chance of winning. His chances of winning have never been higher than what they were now. And this is when I consider the race to have started, once Bernie Sanders dropped out of the primary and Biden becomes the presumptive Democratic nominee. As you can see, Biden's numbers have steadily climbed up from just 69% at the beginning all the way up to 85%. And looking at the average vote percentage expected for either candidate, as you can see, we see a similar trend here. Biden's numbers slowly increasing from 50% at the beginning all the way up to 50, almost 52% at this point in the race. And then looking at the electoral vote distribution, basically the larger the state, the larger the circle it has. So California plus 35.34, this is the margins that each candidate, or with the margin that each candidate is expected to have. This is basically almost the same as the third map. And as you can see, Joe Biden winning in most of the Northeast, basically all of the Northeast, is expected to win back the blue wall as well as most of the Rust Belt here, with the exceptions of the states of Iowa, Ohio, and Indiana, expected to win North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. And Trump is expected to win most, or a lot of the states that he won in 2016, except the states that Trump is currently expected to not retain after this election. And then looking at the third-party vote distribution down here, this basically shows where most of the third-party votes are going to. The largest third-party state, I guess, on this map is, of course, the state of Utah. A lot of votes did go to Evan McMullin in 2016 that were in protest of both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump out of the state of Utah. It really did not make a difference. Trump still won the state, but definitely Evan McMullin really did have a profound impact on the race in the state of Utah. A lot of them are going to come from West Virginia as well as Vermont. 13,000 is 4.5% of the vote from the state of Vermont. And that is basically what this shows. Utah, of course, is going to have a pretty large amount of protest votes, I think, in 2020 as well. However, definitely not as much because Joe Biden is not as polarizing of a figure as Hillary Clinton was in 2016. And then looking at where these candidates are going to win their popular vote from, this is the amount of votes that they're expected to win in each state. So Texas, Trump 4.7 million, California 4.3 million, Florida 4.9 million for the president. Of course, Joe Biden's biggest state would be the state of California, 9.2 million, followed by Florida 5 million, Texas 4.5 million, New York 4. Actually no, Texas is smaller than New York. New York 4.6 million for Joe Biden, Texas 4.5 million votes for Joe Biden. So that is where they're expected to win their votes from. And this is the new updated OurProgress forecast. It has been updated just a couple of hours ago. And so if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like down below, as well as subscribing to my channel. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, along with any video suggestions for videos you'd like to see from me in the future, and I will see you in the next video.